Jennifer Lopez's appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert was meant to be a typical late-night chat. A mixture of light-hearted banter, career highlights, and perhaps a tease of her latest album or film. But instead of the breezy back-and-forth audiences expected, what unfolded was a moment of genuine tension that sent shockwaves through both Hollywood and late-night television. From the very start, there was a subtle edge in the air. Jennifer walked onto the stage with her usual confidence, dressed in an elegant white pantsuit. Hair flowing, smile radiant, but Colbert's opening comments struck a tone that wasn't entirely playful. He opened with, "So, JLo, it's been quite a year, both artistically and, let's say, personally. Care to fill us in?" The crowd chuckled, sensing mischief, but Jennifer's smile didn't quite reach her eyes. She replied coolly, "Well, Stephen, it depends what part of that question you want me to take seriously." And just like that, the conversation moved from glitz to grit. Colbert, not one to shy away from controversy, tried to maintain his trademark charm while still probing deeper. He brought up her recent project, a dramatic film role that critics had been buzzing about, but quickly transitioned to discussing the overwhelming public scrutiny Jennifer had faced regarding her rekindled romance and alleged troubles with Ben Affleck. "When you're not busy being fabulous," he joked, "you're apparently keeping gossip blogs in business." Jennifer let out a polite laugh, but shot back, "That's funny. I thought we were here to talk about my work, not my marriage." Stephen pressed gently but firmly, "But don't you think your personal life becomes part of the brand, part of the story, especially when you're as iconic as you are?" Jennifer's posture stiffened. "Iconic doesn't mean public property, Stephen," she said. "And sometimes the media forgets that I'm a person before I'm a headline." The audience fell silent, unsure whether to laugh or listen closely. Trying to recover. Colbert attempted to pivot back to her career, asking about the emotional weight of her recent role. But Jennifer was already noticeably guarded. "A character that reflects the duality of strength and vulnerability," she explained. "And maybe that's why I related to her so much, because I've had to wear both those faces every day for decades." Stephen nodded thoughtfully, but then quipped, "So do you think your love life fuels your art, or just the paparazzi?" The question landed like a slap. Jennifer paused. "Is that really how we're doing this?" she asked, her voice quiet but sharp. "I came on this show expecting professionalism. I've been nothing but gracious, and I'm trying to talk about a role I bled for emotionally. Do you want to reduce it to tabloid fodder?" Colbert, sensing the mood shift, held up his hands in mock surrender. Okay, we'll dial it back, but it was too late." Jennifer wasn't in a joking mood anymore. She shifted in her seat, glanced briefly at the audience, and then continued, "It's exhausting, you know. To be asked the same shallow questions over and over, as if the only thing I'm good for is a clickbait headline or a dress on a red carpet." Colbert, clearly realizing he may have overstepped, tried to soften the atmosphere with a personal compliment. "You're incredibly talented, Jennifer. That's not in question. But you have to admit you do live a life most people can't stop watching." Jennifer countered, "And that's not entirely by choice. I'm a performer, not a reality star. Right. I've worked too hard to have my craft sidelined by speculation about who I kiss or how I look on my worst days." Her voice trembled slightly, not with weakness, but with restrained frustration. The audience clapped cautiously, sensing her truth. But Colbert made one more attempt to be cheeky. And that's when things completely unraveled. "So what you're saying," Stephen said with a smirk, "is that you want the fame without the baggage?" That question struck a nerve. Jennifer leaned forward, eyes narrowed. "What I want is respect," she replied slowly. "And the assumption that when I walk onto a stage, I'm here to offer something more than gossip column fuel. Is that too much to ask?" A tense silence followed. Colbert tried to chuckle it off, mumbling something about how he meant no offense. But Jennifer had heard enough. She took a deep breath, removed her mic pack, and stood up. "Stephen, I've done a lot of interviews in my life, and I know when I'm being baited. I came here in good faith. I won't be disrespected like this, not by you, not by anyone." And with that, she walked off stage. The audience gasped. Colbert sat frozen, clearly stunned, as producers scrambled behind the scenes. The camera cut to commercial mid-sentence. Asterisk backstage. Chaos erupted. The crew tried to convince Jennifer to return after the break, offering to shift the tone, drop the personal questions, and focus on her film. But she was done. According to an anonymous staffer, she told them plainly if he wanted a performance. He got one, but it's not the kind I'm paid to give. Meanwhile, Colbert, rattled but maintaining a professional front, returned after the break with a forced smile. "Well, that was ... intense," he said. "Jennifer Lopez has left the building, folks. But her movie hits theaters next week. Go see it. It deserves your time." The crowd responded with scattered applause, but the room was clearly tense. Online, however, it was anything but quiet. Within minutes, Jennifer Lopez, Colbert clash, and JLo walks out were all trending. Fans defended her fiercely, praising her for standing up for herself. Others criticized the interview for crossing the line between clever and condescending. Asterisk by the next morning. Clips of the confrontation had racked up millions of views. Talk shows, podcasts, and pop culture sites all weighed in. Some praised Jennifer's composure, calling it a masterclass in demanding dignity in real time. Others accused her of being too sensitive, suggesting she overreacted to a late-night host known for his humor. But those who had followed her career closely knew this wasn't just about one awkward question. It was about years of being asked to justify her love life, her body, her decisions. Instead of being celebrated for her artistic evolution and longevity in an industry that chews women up far too quickly, Jennifer released a statement later that day. "I am proud of my work and will continue to speak about it with those who are genuinely interested in my craft, not my headlines." Colbert's camp, meanwhile, remained quiet. Sources said the show would reevaluate boundaries in future interviews. Asterisk. The clash also sparked a broader conversation about how the media treats women in entertainment, especially those over 40 who refuse to fade into the background. Jennifer, who has reinvented herself countless times, singer, dancer, actress, producer, entrepreneur, has long dealt with media reducing her to little more than a love life timeline. This time, she'd had enough. Even feminist scholars and cultural critics chimed in, using the moment as a teaching point. This wasn't about being thin-skinned, one writer posted. It was about rejecting the idea that a woman's value lies in her ability to entertain at the cost of her privacy. Her fans flooded social media with messages of support, sharing clips of her acting, her music videos, and her past speeches about resilience. The conversation had moved past the interview itself and landed squarely on a moment of reckoning for celebrity culture and how we frame our questions and expectations, especially for women who dare to speak on their terms. Asterisk in the weeks that followed. Jennifer continued with her press tour, but on her own terms. Smaller, independent podcasts, arts-focused radio shows, and women-led media outlets became her chosen platforms. In each interview was a reminder of her depth, how deeply she cares about her craft, about her audience, and about redefining what it means to be a multi-hyphenate in an era of media chaos. She even referenced the Colbert incident obliquely. During one panel, saying, "You learn over time who's really listening, who's just waiting for a soundbite." The crowd erupted in applause. Meanwhile, Colbert never publicly addressed the walk-off again. The moment became a silent marker in the show's history, a lesson perhaps not in what to say, but in how to listen. And Jennifer, she moved forward with grace, not ignoring the moment, but not being defined by it either. Because if there's one thing she's mastered, it's the art of transformation without apology. Asterisk today. That stormy evening on the late show stands as more than just viral drama. It's a defining the chapter in the ongoing story of Jennifer Lopez. Not because she walked off, but because she knew exactly when to. In a world that constantly demands women perform emotional labor while being endlessly dissected, JLo drew a boundary in real time, and that takes strength. Her refusal to play along with a narrative that reduced her complexity into entertainment reminded everyone watching that power doesn't always scream it, sometimes stands up quietly and walks out. That night, she wasn't just an entertainer, she was a statement. And for countless people watching, especially women who've been in rooms where charm was used to mask disrespect, Jennifer Lopez's stand wasn't a diva moment. It was a masterclass in self-respect. And that, more than any interview or headline, is what people will remember.